In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Welcome to the No Off Days podcast. We got Chris Cato over here to my left. He is the co-host, and if you can't read, it's written on his shirt. And then we have, of course, BK in the booth, and I am Scott Smith. So welcome in. This is, Chris is known as one of the slowest sports weeks in the entire sports calendar.
A dead zone, as it were.
After the Major League All-Star break, but All-Star festivities this week, and man, it was cool to see a lot of Rays representing up in Philadelphia and that home run derby and Junior Caminero. It was. I feel like last year he also kind of hit like a cold spell in the second round, but he had enough cumulative to make it to that final round. But I have no doubt with his sweet swing that he's going to be winning a home run derby at some point. But did you enjoy the festivities this week?
I did. You know, I used to live in Philadelphia, and boy, I kind of wanted to be back in the city. This has been the summer of Philadelphia, right? You've had World Cup matches there. Yeah. You had America's 250 going on, and then the All-Star festivities there. And it was just a joy to watch how during the derby those Philadelphia Phillies fans were booing, every batter that wasn't Schwarber or Harper, and then to kind of see Walker walk it off like that and silence the crowd. I don't know. I wonder if he was escorted out of the stadium through a secret tunnel.
Yeah, that was no batteries were thrown in the making of this home run derby, as at least we can tell. With that, let's bring in Brian King, and Brian, I know that you've been looking forward to this week's show in particular. Can you tell us why?
Oh, we got a great guest tonight. You want me to tell you who the guest is, or you want my story behind it?
I'd like to know who we're talking to today.
Before the World Cup, before MLS, before even the USL, there was the NASL, and that was the soccer what kicked it off here. And one of the faces of the program, of the league, and of Tampa Bay was Rodney Marsh. We're going to have Rodney Marsh on the show tonight.
Legend.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's a big one.
And a wonderful accent, by the way.
He's and a great talker.
It's going to dignify our show.
And I think on this very podcast, maybe episode 27, Brian has told us that that's the first ever sports poster he had hanging in his childhood bedroom.
Was Rodney Marsh. That's correct, yes.
So, but why then did you switch allegiances to Alabama? You could have been all in.
I was always
Rowdies.
Alabama, but it was around when I was 11 or 10 or 12, around that age, I was just playing soccer a lot, and I just picked a team. I was growing up in South Carolina at the time, and I just loved the Rowdies colors. He was a top guy on the Rowdies, and so I just
And look how it's all come full circle.
I know.
How about that?
40 years ago, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I know.
What was he doing in the poster? What was the action?
He was just running.
Okay.
But he had the long blonde hair, and all that stuff. So and those uniforms, those were old Rowdies uniforms, they brought them back, a little bit with the gold and green stripe bands and stuff. Those are perfect.
Did we talk about athletic posters?
We did.
Who did you have?
I had the Bash Brothers poster with McGuire.
Yes, because we both had.
But it was like the Blues Brothers, and that's when we learned.
Yeah.
We had the same. That's
With
when we
the
found out we had the
oversized-
same bedroom. You and I were actually sharing the same
that was
bedroom.
you on the top bunk? Yeah. Oh, this whole
Remember,
time.
I dug the hole through the tunnel in the wall, and I put the poster over it, and that's how I escaped?
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We will have him on, and we'll
excited.
break down the World Cup action. And then at the end of the program.
End of the show. How about Logotomy? Haven't done that in a while.
This is when Cato removes my brain?
That is it, exactly.
Okay.
And I also show you logos of teams and give you little clues about them, and you try to guess them.
All right. I'll get out the ice cream scooper.
Very
There
good.
you
Well, we will
See ya.
catch up with you momentarily.
Thanks, guys.
If you are listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take out your phone and zap the QR code on the screen and head to our show page. You can leave comments on our YouTube channel if you like, and you can leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes if you feel so inclined. Please subscribe. fox13news.com/nodpod. All right, so I'm particularly excited about this week's show. Yes, because we have Rodney Marsh, but also because this kind of kicks off our countdown to the NFL season.
This hit me out of nowhere when you sent me the rundown of what we're going to talk about.
We are going to, every year we break down division by division, show by show. So this week we are dedicating this show to breaking down the AFC North. And if you are not a fan of any of the teams in the AFC North, then worry not, because we will soon get to your division. We are coming to a division near you, and we will end this thing on the NFC South. But we have weeks of breakdown still ahead of us. So with that, What do you say we break it down?
I'm ready.
How this AFC North is going to look. Last year, it only had one playoff team, and that one playoff team was a team that I don't think a lot of people had on their radar winning the NFC North, and that would be, or the AFC North, and that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers with a 10-7 mark, missing the playoffs, every other team, but namely the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson finishing with an under 500 record, a losing record at 8-9. The Bengals 6-11, and the Browns 5-12. So let's go team by team, and we'll kind of give our analysis on what we think they've done here in the offseason and if they're better positioned for a playoff run this year, starting with those Pittsburgh Steelers. So they kind of knocked Baltimore off the perch a little bit, and the biggest move for them, in my eyes, is the departure of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
So what does that look like here? He was such a stabilizing force, so many consecutive playoff appearances on his watch, and I understand that sometimes when you have a good thing, or you have, not, maybe it's not always excellent, but you got a good thing, you feel like, I need something to take us over the top. We've seen that even here in Tampa. He had all these excellent years of Tony Dungy leading the troops, and you needed something else to get you over the top, and John Gruden was that something else to bring the first Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. So what's it going to take for the Pittsburgh Steelers? They bring in Mike McCarthy, a guy that, man, if he has not knocked off all the bucket list teams in the NFL,
Right,
he's had every like kind of original or blue blood franchise, Cowboys, Packers, and here he goes with the Steelers. So, but he's got a very aged quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers' numbers, I thought, were decent last year. He had a career low in terms of like air yards per play. But still, he had 3,500 passing yards, 24 touchdowns. The offense, though, was the 25th best offense in the whole NFL.
It was kind of
the whole. I thought the whole division's offensively, their numbers were down. So you still got Rodgers coming back. This will be his final year. In the offseason, they went and made some offseason moves. They extended D-line tackle Cam Hayward. They brought him back. So I think, Cole Holcomb is another one that at the linebacker position under contract, Asante Samuel Jr. I don't know offensively if all the pieces are there. I'm still like a little hesitant defensively. The name of the game for them last year was really killing it in turnovers, and that kept them in ball games. But I'm curious how you see the Steelers, and if you think they're a team that is net positive. You think they've improved from last year's squad?
Well, look, it's interesting because you bring in Mike McCarthy, a coach that's won a Super Bowl. You bring in you retain Aaron Rodgers for at least one more year. But I do think it's going to come back to what this defense can do. That's when you think of Pittsburgh football, you think that's where they make their hay, is on the defensive side. And so McCarthy brings in Patrick Graham, who is very experienced. What's this going to look like, though? What personnel does he have to work with? He had a great defense in Las Vegas last year. Yeah. Remember, you also have Max Crosby running around.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the equation. And then for Rodgers, the good news is it looks like they've got a little more weapons on him to work with on the offensive side of the ball. They get Michael Pittman Jr. That should help. My worry, though, is if Rodgers has an injury, as he's did 2 seasons ago, the quarterback room after that's kind of a mess. You're left with Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, who was a draft pick 2 drafts ago, and then Drew Aller, who they selected in 2026. So you got to keep Rodgers healthy. You need a solid offensive line, which I think they do. They've got a lot of veteran experience there coming back, and you got to find a run game. You got that's probably my biggest worry for them is Jalen Warren's your lead back. They bring in Rico Dowdell.
Which is not a bad 1-2 punch.
Not a bad 1-2 punch, but if I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I am encouraged because McCarthy's offenses are usually much more fun to watch than what I think they've gotten the last decade or so under Mike Tomlin. But look, Mike Tomlin, he could fall out of bed and wins 8 games every year. They just were always, what was the amazing stat? They never finished below 500 during his entire tenure there.
It's incredible.
But then again, the flip side of that is haven't won a playoff game. Yes, made the playoffs, but haven't won a game since 2016. So, if you look at the schedule, they've got, considering compared to their other division rivals, they have one of the harder schedules lining up here. And Vegas has their win total at 8.5 right now. And so, again, that puts you at right there on the cusp of maybe making the playoffs. I just too much for me hinges on the unknowns of the defense and Aaron Rodgers' health and whether this is going to work. And we'll give at the end of this, kind of where we think they'll finish.
The team that finished second last year was the Baltimore Ravens, and much like the Steelers, a long-time stabilizing force at head coach is now out. So John Harbaugh, given the boot, he's now up in New York, leading those New York Football Giants, but gone after 18 seasons. Jesse Minter kind of comes in. I think one of the issues for Baltimore really in recent years is closing out games in the fourth quarter, and so can they get, how much of that falls on the head coach? I don't know, but Jesse Minter's a guy that first go round as a head coach, and I don't know. I think for rookie head coaches, you got to give a little bit of wiggle room, because what that also means is you have a new coaching staff, a new offensive coordinator that's coming in, and let's see, the offensive coordinator, I believe is it Doyle?
Doyle, yeah.
Yeah, so you have Lamar Jackson, always going to be a player if you have a healthy Lamar Jackson. They did add defensively, one of the bigger offseason signings. They got Trey Hendrickson in here, so they needed some help on that edge rush to get after the quarterback. I think they did that. I feel like they are going to be a little bit better, because I feel like last year was a little bit more of an anomaly. I'm going to bet on Lamar Jackson, that even when learning a new offense, they're going to find a way to tailor it around his strengths. And I do think that Trey Hendrickson, he was a guy that I thought the Bucs should have been in on, is an absolute beast, and I think he has something to prove in Baltimore. So, I don't know. To me, they're a little bit more of a riser. If I have the Steelers kind of sinking a little bit, I have Baltimore bumping up just a touch.
I think it is a bounce-back year for the Ravens. It's rare, though, that you see this situation with a new coach coming in where there's an expectation now, at least if you look at the odds in Vegas, the Ravens are favored to win this division. And Minter has proved nothing as a head coach. He doesn't have a track record. You got a new offensive coordinator. Lamar's learning a new system. But I think, like you said, it is the faith in Lamar and Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman and those types, where you just kind of trust them to figure it out as the season goes along. And it's going to be the defense. The Ravens defense fell off last year. They just didn't have the pressure on the quarterback they usually get. They didn't have that presence along the defensive line. Of course, Madubuike had a big injury that sidelined him for much of the season. He should be back. And then the Trey Hendrickson addition. I think the Ravens are going to be back, and I think it's going to be a good first year for Coach Minter.
The third place team last year was the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is the only team actually in the division that returns their head coach. And, of course, that would be Zach Taylor. So back and at him. And it comes down to Joe Burrow. I mean, you have the pieces offensively, and I don't think that the question has ever been, like, what are you working with in terms of weapons offensively? If you have a healthy Joe Burrow, which is a huge question mark, by the way, not specifically this year, but I think he's only had, of the last, 6 seasons, he's had, one fully healthy season, and that was the one where that he was – did he win? He was an MVP finalist that year. So, but – defensively is where the question marks always loom large for the Bengals, and I thought they made some decent moves. They went out and got Dexter Lawrence to help beef up that defensive line, as they also got Jonathan Allen, another big body on that defensive line. Man, those things are going to help. Boye Mafe, another one that they added, and then in the secondary they got Kyle Duggar, Brian Cook. So, and then you add a little bit of experience in your quarterback room, just in case of an emergency. Joe Flacco signing, and how, I don't know. I think that this is the team that most people are projecting as the AFC North champs. The Bengals back on top. I think that they are certainly in a better position going into this year than they were last year. But I think they made some positive moves, and I think, again, having a coach and a system that you don't have to reteach during training camp and throughout these, the offseason mini camps, helps you right out of the gates. Start the season hot, and that'll be, I think it'll be interesting to see if the Bengals can get off to a hot start this year. We should probably pull up their schedule too and take a look at some of these, because that's always an indicating factor. But they finished third last year, so you're going to be playing a third place. So I would assume, without looking at their schedule in front of me, that they probably have a little bit of an easier run of things.
Yeah, if you put much faith in these preseason strength of schedule rankings, which kind of always depends on, well, what do these teams look like at the end of the season, they've got the third easiest schedule. So if that holds true, but I'll keep it short because everything you said is spot on. It depends on defense and Joe Burrow's health. And if the defense is fixed, finally, we've seen some great Joe Burrow seasons wasted because, other teams are scoring 42 points. If the defense is fixed finally and Burrow's healthy, then I think this is a playoff team that can make a pretty deep run.
And then the last place team and the projected last place team by many pundits this year, once again, the Cleveland Browns. They finished last year with 5 wins. Do we see an uptick from that? I think we will see an uptick. They are going with a familiar face, a guy that we know around these parts, Todd Monken, getting a head coaching opportunity in the NFL, which, probably long overdue. And he has a reputation of a guy that really is able to utilize the pieces that he has and create an offense that really kind of sings around the moving parts. So I want to see what he does there because we have a quarterback competition going into camp between Shedeur Sanders, the now second-year quarterback, and then Deshaun Watson, who is now finally healthy and, of course, has been through a lot, and most of which his own doing. And can he salvage his own career? Can Shedeur now challenge for that starting spot? I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is in the mix or not. He seems like he should be. Maybe that's just the Oregon Duck in me speaking. But, so the biggest offseason move for the Browns is they got rid of their best player. And so, how can you be net positive if you get rid of Myles Garrett?
Right.
They do bring in Jared Verse, who is a very good edge rusher too, young and could be a superstar in this league. But Myles Garrett is your, I think, 2-time defensive player of the year. So that's a tough one to move on from. You do get draft capital, so it shows you, hey, we're also looking to build something here. So you got some money in the bank for Monken moving forward. And let's see, they retooled their offensive line. They traded for Titus Howard and signed a couple of guards in Zion Johnson and Elton Jenkins. So they've made some pieces. They addressed the wide receiver room in the draft. They got Casey Concepcion and then Denzel Boston. So those were, I think, their first 2 picks in the draft, first and second round selection. So, they went out and they had some pieces. It is an interesting mix, but when you have an uncertainty at quarterback and you have a new head coach and your best player on the team is no longer there, it's hard to make hay of whether you're going to be players or not in this division. Can you leap from a 5-win team last year to suddenly be something exceptional? Obviously, the quarterback situation last year was very uncertain. It was up and down. It was Flacco for a couple of games. Shedeur, it was Dylan Gabriel. So it was all over the place. I'm curious if you get Watson out of the gates and it's Watson of old.
Watson of Houston.
It's Houston Watson. And then, they could be. I think they could be a team
It'd be interesting.
Potentially contends.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's my biggest thing is I want to see if this is a Deshaun Watson reclamation project, right? If he comes back and looks like the Texans Watson, then I think Monken is the kind of coach that could set him up for that. But I just don't know enough, and you point at the defense, and that's a big question. With Myles Garrett gone, they still have the defensive rookie of the year coming back, Carson Schweisinger. They've got 5-time Pro Bowl corner Denzel Ward and Mason Graham along the defensive line. So but anytime you're losing Myles Garrett, there's still, like you said, not a net gain. So I don't know, but I feel like there's just too much unknown for me to say, is this going to be a massively improved team? I think they'll win more games than they won last year. I'll leave it at that.
I'll agree with you there. All right, so with that, let's give our predictions for the AFC North. And let's start at the bottom, and we'll just rotate. How about that?
Okay.
Can you give me a record prediction as well?
I'm sorry, Browns. You are still at the bottom of the division, but you won more games than you won last year. You are now 6-11 this season.
Okay, very good. I also agree with you saying the Browns will carry up the bottom of the division, but I think they will be even better at being worst, and they will be 7-10.
Okay, that's the right direction there. All right, who's finishing third?
All right, finishing third, I have a steep fall off for your Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're missing the playoffs this year with a record of 9-8. So just they drop a game, and a little bit some rough patches with McCarthy. Can Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers healthy through the course of the season? I don't know. And I don't love the offense, got to be honest. So I'd say they take one game back, just miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Steelers finished third. I think the schedule's a little too daunting, and I worry about Rodgers being healthy all season, and I think they kind of pull what the Ravens did last year, and they go 8-9 and miss the playoffs.
Go ahead.
I'll
Second.
go two.
Yeah.
Second, this is tough. I really want to put Cincinnati in first, like a lot of people have, but until I see Joe Burrow complete an entire season healthy and I know that the defense is fixed, I'm going to rely more on trusting Lamar. So I've got the Bengals finishing second, making the playoffs, possibly, though, at 10-7. So we could have maybe 2 playoff teams.
Oh,
okay.
Very interesting. See, for many of the same reasons, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens to finish 10-7, but finish second place. I think that they're going to be a playoff team. I think that they're going to be okay. Jesse Minter's first year is going to be pretty good. I think Lamar Jackson can do exceptional things, and he can put a team on his back, and I expect him to do that. And I think Trey Hendrickson's going to rack up some sacks, especially against his former team. But
I hope he doesn't hurt Joe Burrow.
I don't think he's going to be able to surpass his former team. So with that, I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals to win the AFC North this year. I think they finish with a record of 12-5 back in the postseason.
I got the Ravens first. Scary thing with a first-year head coach, but I'm trusting Lamar, Derrick Henry, and an improved defense for a record of 11-6.
From AFC North football to World Cup football, coming up next on the No Off Days podcast, it is time to bring in a living legend. Rodney Marsh, former Tampa Bay Rowdy, is going to be joining us on set, giving us thoughts on U.S. men's soccer, the World Cup as it stands, and maybe give us a little trip down memory lane.
That would be fun.
Some favorite stories of his. He will be with us next on the No Off Days podcast. Go ahead. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. It is my distinct privilege to introduce our guest this week on the Nod Pod. We have a Tampa Bay legend, a Rowdy icon, and he is one of the hosts on the Grumpy Pundits podcast, which, of course, you can find on Sirius XM FC. And we have with us none other than Rodney Marsh. Welcome into the show. It's great to have you here.
Hello, boys.
Good to see you,
Thank
Rodney.
you for inviting me.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I feel like we should have had you probably weeks ago when this World Cup thing was really at a fervor and the U.S. was still in it. But I think better late than never to get your thoughts on just what you've seen play out here in the States with the Cup being played out stateside, and you've seen the fan fervor and the intensity. You know very well what it's like when U.S. soccer fans get rowdy. You've seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
What do you make of the showing here in the States?
It's been marvellous. It's been absolutely marvellous. Personally, I was back here in 1994 when America had it the first time, and it was great then. This has been even better. This has been a sensational World Cup. And you mentioned the fans, all of the Dutch Orange Army walking down, and then the Scots in Boston. I was in Boston, by the way. I watched the England-Ghana game. When the Scots Tartan Army, who were there the week before, actually drunk out Boston.
They drank the city dry.
They drank, you know that?
That's a tough thing to do, right?
That's not easy to do in Boston.
No,
yeah, so it's been great. But it's been great.
No doubt.
How do you think we've done as soccer fans here in the U.S. since you came over, some 50 years ago?
That's right. Yeah.
I know you've told stories about how when you would play in those early days with the Rowdies, the fan reaction was a little different than what you got in the old country. So have we evolved as those who appreciate the beautiful game?
Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. The growth of soccer in America since I've been here, which is quite a long time, of course, has been nothing short of sensational. And I'll give you another example. What I love about it is, I love about the American approach is the girls and the women's national team, best in the world, right? And the young kids coming through. There've been more and more and more young kids coming through. Soccer is everywhere. When I first came here, there was like 7,000 people coming, and they didn't know what the game was about. Well, the Rowdies, after about a year, maybe two, 55,000 people, Pelé, in the stadium, in the Cosmos, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we had the World Cup, and it's getting bigger today, and it's even bigger. You know, as we sit here now, it's even bigger now than it's ever been.
So for as much as it's grown over the years, in terms of getting to a certain point within this tournament, that's really the standard by which we measure things, right?
Yes.
Is it not? By how far you can go? Can you hang with these global powers like the Frances and the Spains, and in this year's case, Belgium? What do you believe it's going to take for U.S. to kind of break through that round of 16 and beyond?
Do you know, that's a great question, a tremendous question, because I said about 10 years ago that we were on the brink, America, of getting to a Final Four in World Cup football. That's not happened, okay? And this year, I was so confident that America's Christian Pulisic had, he was coming into the tournament. He scored a couple of goals coming in, and we had the boy Balogun, he was on a great roll, and we looked, and we had Paraguay game. America won 4-1 and scored sensational goals, and then it all went as it always seems to.
Yeah.
A lot has been said from some of the leading American voices in the sport when it comes to what Scott was talking about, analyzing why can we not get past this certain point in the World Cup. There's been a lot said about the development of young soccer players in this country. A lot of people pointing the finger at that, saying that we're just not prioritizing or even executing the development of our youth to the level that it happens with other countries. Do you see that is the root cause of why we are not playing along with the elites of the world right now?
Well, let me tell you a quick story. About 25 years ago, a local soccer player here called Steve Wegley. Steve Wegley played for the Rowdies back in the day. His brother, Roy Wegley, went on to become a Premier League player. And I was talking to Steve Wegley, and Steve said to me, Roddy said, just come down and watch this young kid I've got playing for my under-12 team. And I went, he said, no, he said, come down, you'll love him. So I said, okay. So he said, his name is Brandon Stryker. And I thought, are you making this up?
Great name.
Or something like out of airplane, So I go down and watch him play for a team called Blackwatch. And I go and watch him, and this kid was stunning. He was stunningly brilliant. He was only 12. He was about 5'10", blonde hair. He wore the number 10 shirt, and he was dropping his shoulder and beating players and bending shots. And I was like, he's a really good player. He's really good. So Stephen, carried on coaching him. So I saw him about 3 or 4 years later, Steve Wegley, and we were having a chat about it. I said, whatever happened to that kid, Brandon Stryker? He said, Rod, he said, you won't believe it. He's got to about 16, and he was fantastic. And his parents talked him into, now this is reportedly, allegedly, talks him into playing baseball. Mm-hmm. And he got a girlfriend, and soccer went out the window.
Girlfriends have undone many athletic aspirations, maybe.
I wouldn't know about that. So,
But to your point, some of our finest athletes do specialize in things other than soccer here.
Well, they do, and it seems to me as though the kids, when they're younger, they love the soccer, they love the running around, and they love to, be part of this, and then they get to 15, 16, 17, and they slow down a bit, and they, because baseball ain't quick. No. Baseball is not where you run around a lot. And we found that a lot of soccer players get to the age of 16 and then they drop out.
Because so many kids start out, maybe their first athletic experience is on a soccer field.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're out there running around. And then, we've kind of talked about this, how here in the States, it just seems like the menu of options is pretty vast. There's a ton of sports and options to play, and then the incentivization structure as well. Like when you think about what it looks like to make it to the next step, for a lot of these college scholarships, and now you have colleges that are paying top dollar for athletes, and not just football, but football. You can make a lot of money playing college football, and so the incentivization structure just doesn't seem to be there. Especially when I look at our top league in the States, the MLS. Like, what's the average salary there versus somebody that's playing in the Premier League or La Liga? It's apples and oranges.
It is. Erling Haaland, who plays for Norway, and the rowing, they love that.
Did you see his stuffed raccoon, by the way?
Yeah. On Grumpy Pundits today, we were talking about that, about the raccoon. But he's allegedly, he's taking it back for his young daughter.
That's a great gift.
Now, why would you give a stuffed raccoon to a young daughter?
What every Norwegian girl wants, a stuffed raccoon.
It beats a keychain,
whiskey.
It's a great big one, yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
The point being about America is when these kids get to 16, 17, 18, and you talked about scholarships, right? It appears that any player, now I'm going to go careful on this because I don't want to put anybody's nose out of joint.
Sure.
But as you know, right? But it appears to me as though when they get around that age and they start looking at where should we go. When I first came to America and I watched the NFL, there was no team in Tampa.
Yeah.
There wasn't, the Buccaneers weren't in Tampa. Okay, there was no professional team here. The Tampa University had a team, but there was no pro team here. And every kicker that I saw was a straight-on kick, like a toe field goal kicker. Now, there's not one in the NFL. Now they're all soccer players.
Yeah.
So when a kid gets to 16 and he can kick a ball 50, 60, 70 yards, soccer, and they're saying, well, you know, instead of playing, come and play and be a field goal kicker, you're going to make 50 times the amount of money, and they will go, well, I'll give that a try.
Yeah.
And I think that's happening a lot.
Yeah, certainly. We're going to take a quick pause. We have much more with Rodney Marsh on the other side. We'll get into some of the storylines that we continue to discuss with this U.S. men's national team and what we've seen so far with the teams that still remain in this tournament as we count it down to the final matchup. Stay with us. The Off Days podcast continues right after this. We are back on the Off Days podcast with Tampa Bay Rowdies legend Rodney Marsh joining us, also a co-host on the Grumpy Pundits podcast, which you can find on Sirius XM. All right, so we were kind of talking a little bit about the U.S. national team and their shortcomings this year, but a lot of the backlash since the being ousted by Belgium has been centered on Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
And maybe this underlying question of whether he is the guy, whether he has the desire. You know, he had a soundbite that has been played many times about now he gets the opportunity to rest, you know, based on the injuries. He was dealing with a fracture in that last game.
Yeah.
But what do you make of the criticism? Is it fair? And is he still Captain America? Is he still the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land?
Well, no. And I'll tell you why. I've been his biggest supporter, Christian's biggest supporter, going back 10 years when he was playing for Chelsea in the Premier League. And he went through this period, and I've not spoken to him about it. I have no clue. But he's been America's best player. And at Chelsea, for some reason, he had a kind of a mental, not breakdown, but he had a mental thing where he's got emotional about things. And he suddenly, and you can go onto the old internet machine and check this out, playing for Chelsea, he suddenly grew this great big beard out of nowhere. I know you think I'm making this up, aren't you?
Oh, no. He can grow facial hair, right?
Yeah, but he had this, and he started wearing lumberjack shirts. And we're all looking at it thinking, are you mad? What's going on? But we found out, and he had this, you go and check it out. Just type it in, Christian Pulisic's beard. Check it out. Check it out now.
I'm doing it now. I got to see this.
And he had this great big black beard, and we found out later, and we were kind of making a little bit of fun of it. We found out later that he was actually seeing a therapist, that he was emotionally drained, because he's been playing soccer since he was a baby, and he'd been to Germany, of course, and he went through this period, and then of course he went to Italy with AC Milan and didn't have a particularly good season. And the reason I said no, Scott, is because every player comes to the point where, who was it, Ted Williams, the old baseball, we had Ted Williams, when somebody said, why are you quitting now? He said, I'd rather quit now while people are saying, why are you quitting? Then why don't you quit?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, and a great baseball player. And because I've read a lot about American sports, by the way. I love American sports.
Yeah.
Absolutely love them. Tom Landry. I've read Tom Landry's autobiography. If you haven't read it, folks, go out and get it. It doesn't give me any money. I'm not a publisher or anything. I'm just it's a great book. But Christian Pulisic is now at the stage where he's kind of, if he doesn't just put soccer first, and I'll get fit, I'll get 100% fit, I'll play 100% soccer, I think that this could be the transition where, and by the way, the coach might even walk away. Pochettino may even walk away. Now, if that happens, I think he will, by the way.
Oh, you do?
I do.
What do you think the determining factor is for him? Obviously, he's wanted back by U.S. Soccer.
Yeah, and they were talking a little while ago about it, and he said, well, let's talk about it after the tournament.
Sure.
Well, I think he's at a stage now where there's 4 or 5 clubs want him anyway in Europe. He's got 4 years. I mean, who gives 4 years of their life to say, I've had this failure for the World Cup in America. I've got now 4 years. And in that 4 years, I've got to go back to the well. I've got to start all over again. I think he walks away.
You think so?
Really? Wow.
That's just my take. That's just my take.
That would be a blow. It would for sure. We'll see what happens with that. I did find the picture of Pulisic's beard, and it looks like he has a raccoon in it, of all things. I mean, what are the odds?
Tied it all around. There we go.
See, I wasn't lying, was I? I wasn't lying.
It's big and bushy, and I'm glad his grandma convinced him to shave it off. Explain flopping to us. A lot of us fans I'm very naive watcher of soccer. I admit I've only watched when the World Cup rolls around, and you hear a lot of people like me that know nothing saying, look at this flopping. There's got to be something to it.
You're right.
Is there an art to it? Is
You're
it
right.
part of the gamesmanship? When is it okay to flop? When should you not flop? How do you flop?
Is there ever a bad time to flop?
Yeah, is there? Yeah.
Well, it depends. You see what we're doing on a Friday night, right?
Yes,
exactly. So flopping is an American phrase. In the rest of the world, it's diving.
Diving. Okay.
And then do you know what? FIFA interferes with every single thing, right? FIFA then come up and said, well, no, it's simulating an action. Well, no, it's diving. It's flopping, right? Having said that, you're American boys, and you must have noticed there's a little bit of that going on in basketball today.
Oh, there's NBA is the king of the floppers.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that a baked-in part of the game where you are, as a good player, you are taught like this is the right time to almost, I want to say in American football, drawing the defense off sides with a snap count. I don't know. Is that, there are gray areas where if you do it right and you're not caught,
whatever you can work to your team's
exactly.
advantage.
Yeah.
Is that coached or is that just kind of instinctual or?
Well, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Who said that? Yeah. But the flopping that you call it is just getting out of control now. You've got like 6'6" defenders, and they're massive guys, and they get touched, they go, oh no, and they fall over.
Yeah.
And these are not the little Lionel Messis, 120 pounds. And it's everybody's flopping or diving. No, it's not part of the game. It's part of the cheating. But having said that, in this World Cup, I've seen so much of that, so much cheating. And they're all different cultures, all different countries. It's not just European. It's South Americans. It's South Americans, by the way, do it most, and they're very good at it. You can never spot it, So anyway, that's what it is. Flopping is a part of soccer. Diving is a part of soccer. Get over it.
As one that brought a lot of character to the game when you played, we talk about flopping and we talk about the pressures that Pulisic certainly felt. How did you kind of view your opportunities every time that you took the pitch? And how much of that did you think I'm playing to the fans, I'm playing to the people that are watching versus just sheer execution and winning the game?
That's a tremendous question. And it's going to take a little bit of time to answer because, generally speaking, you'll have an athlete. Now, there's an athlete today who I identify with, totally identify with this athlete. It's a woman. It's a girl. Her name is Sophie Cunningham, right? Character, great player, personality, controversy. I love that. I absolutely love that, and I identify with that. And to your point, the other side of it is the professionals that come out and they do their job, they go home, they have a cup of coffee, and they sit down. But there's a lot. I fell into the category of being the Sophie Cunningham of the Tampa Bay Rowdies and soccer, basically. And that's just my way, and that's her way. I kind of warm to that, but that's just me.
Do you think that the U.S. needs more of that, though? In order, I'm not talking about just winning games. I'm talking about generating fandom, creating an environment to where we can breed soccer fans of the next generation. Do you need some of that? A little bit more polarity, a little bit more character and charisma?
Yes, you do. When I first joined the Rowdies, that's what the Rowdies stood for. Rowdies. I mean, who has a name Rowdies soccer team? Rowdies, right?
And then tell you to tamp down, you know?
Yeah. In my first year in Tampa Stadium, it's called the Sombrero back in those days, and I went into a tackle, and a guy came in late on me, and his studs slid all the way up my leg, didn't gash me, and went through my groin, and snapped off my shorts and my jockstrap, right?
Yikes.
Wow.
So
that's one reason why kids don't play soccer. Avoiding that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is not flopping.
Yeah, but it wasn't a bad injury. It was just a challenge. But all my shorts are all ripped to pieces. I took them off and said to the trainer, "Get me." And I'm standing there in Tampa Stadium.
Yeah.
Within 3 weeks. And you can again check this out.
Oh, good. Yeah.
There was the Mooners Club of Tampa Bay. They formed the Mooners Club, the Rowdies
the
Mooners Club, the
Club.
Mooners,
Yeah,
and they had all these fans, and that's part of the growth of anything. You know, you have to have, you know, people come back from a game and they go, "What happened today?" Well, it was 1st and 10, and we passed it, and then we dropped the ball. No. What about when he took his head off with that tackle and all those, you know, and he was wearing one pink cleat and one black cleat, and all. It's the part of the surrounding the sport that makes us. And you got to look no further than Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Who seems to get in a row with everybody. He's woo, the shoe, and everybody's going shoo when he scores a goal. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Big personalities like that.
Yeah.
Did you find the Mooners Club, by the way?
I'm still looking.
Yeah.
We're efforting that.
Well,
the Mooners Club.
that personality got you featured in a Miller Lite ad that we seem to remember that we dug up. Are you still a partaker of Miller Lite? And how is it shooting a beer commercial to be? That's pretty cool.
It was great. It was absolutely great. I was with Boog Powell, Dick Butkus, Mickey Spillane, Buchanan, the big defensive end, I think he was. There were so many of and I was the only soccer player, right? And we go out and Deacon Jones, the Cowboys. And it was just I loved it. I absolutely loved it, being part of that in the mix. And the funny thing about it is, I've never told this story before, so I don't know what I'm telling you.
There we go.
So I get a phone call, and the guy says, "Rodney Marsh, we've got a photograph of you with long blonde hair down to you play for the Rowdies and all that." And the guy said he was at a marketing company, advertising agency. He said, "We don't have a soccer player on Miller Lite commercials. We have baseball, we have football, He said, "Would you be prepared to do a Miller Lite commercial?" So I said, "Well, how much?"
Had you drank Miller Lite at that point?
I had.
Yeah.
I had.
Was it taste great, less filling?
I don't think that was the slogan though back then, was it? Was it still that? I feel like they had.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
If you go onto the old internet machine, you'll see Rodney Marsh's Miller Lite commercial.
I'm now the intern that's looking stuff up here. Rodney Marsh.
So, in the phone call I had with the guy, he said, we have several contracts. He said, different people do different things. This is the first for you. We've not done soccer before. And he said, we'll give you, you can have a choice of a set fee, nation's fee, set fee, one-time payment, and it was wool.
Yeah.
He said, or you can have a 3-year plan, and every time your commercial runs in 3 years, you'll get this. Which do you want? So I chatted to a few people, and they said, take the money, take the money, take the money.
The bulk?
Take the bulk, the nation's fee, the one-time fee. So I took it, and we did the commercial.
You messed up. That was...
Oh.
How would you know?
Listen, how could you know, right?
Yeah.
However, somebody should have told me that the NCAA, they've got North Carolina Tar Heels, they've got the state, they've got South Carolina, they got the Gamecocks, all these teams.
Right.
Right? Every commercial. There's Rodney Marsh doing the Miller Lite commercial.
Every commercial. Look, Mom, no feet.
Look, Mum, no feet.
So
Look,
you've
Mom, no
you've
feet.
done the math on this.
Oh, I must have missed out 100 to 1.
Really? Oh man. Now when we play the lotto game, if you win it, do you take the bulk or the installments? I'm
Right.
always bulk because you can invest it, but I'm now rethinking this strategy. I don't know.
Well, it's only if it's successful. I mean, if it was a crap commercial, I'd have probably got three shows.
No, this was the Beatles saying, here, take all of our songs and play them as much as you want, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's been publicized, talked about that Elton John, the great Elton John, was kind of part of your coming to America back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
What's the best Elton John song? You've been to his concerts.
I've been to several, and I know probably much all of his songs, but nobody knows this. When I came to America the first time, I went to Dodger Stadium because Elton John was going to buy the team called the Los Angeles Aztecs. Okay, he was going to buy them, and he said, "Rodney, come on my private." But I thought it was wind-up. I thought somebody was winding me up. And he said, through his agent, he said, "Come to here to do this." So I said, "Yeah, so I'll go along," and. The day of the show, he's got this gigantic barbecue outside, right? And Elton John, I'm going to get to your song in a minute. Elton John was the #1 performer in the world.
Yeah.
This was 1975. And he'd just written a song, and I'd love you to guess, and your listeners and your viewers to guess, so we can't say them now. He wrote a song called Philadelphia Freedom. I used to be a rolling stone, you know. He wrote that song for an athlete.
Really? Which one?
Am I looking at him?
No,
okay.
It wasn't me. No, but he told me this. He said the lyrics was a guy called Bernie Taupin, and he wrote. Oh, you're going to Google it.
Oh yeah, I have to. I got to know now. Who did he write this for?
He wrote this song in Philadelphia Freedom for an athlete, okay? And nobody knows who that athlete is until you Google it.
Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King.
Apparently.
I used to be a rolling stone, you know.
How about that?
That's really
More
cool.
importantly,
Did not know
how is Elton John barbecue? And does
that was my story. Thank you. So there's a lot of us. A very close friend I've got, his name is Ken Adam, who was working with me at the time. He's a bit of an agent and a great friend. And we go to this, and they've got the barbecue beforehand, right? And Elton John's over there doing this thing, and Rod, go and get a bit of a barbecue. So, in the middle of the night. So we go across to the barbecue, and I'm walking down the line, and I look up, and I was gobsmacked. Serving behind the barbecue was Cary Grant.
Really?
You can't make
what is this?
Wait, he's serving like potato salad?
Yeah.
You cannot.
Do you like more Mac?
You cannot make it up. It was Cary Grant. Now, I couldn't come up with that, could I? I mean, you'd have to admit that I can't come up with that.
That's incredible.
That's
astonishing.
Wow.
You were being served barbecue by Elton John and Cary Grant, and now you're on the No Off Days podcast. So
yes. And,
what happened?
And grumpy pundits.
well, there you go.
You followed the wrong yellow brick road.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to catch up with you, and I feel like you have so many more stories. But that's what the Grumpy Pundits are for. Visit them. You guys have new episodes released when?
Tuesday. Well, it's a live program as well.
Okay.
So as well as the you can go onto the website, SiriusXM website, FC. But we have a live program twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Me and Tommy Smith, the little Irishman, and we have this show, and it's 3 hours, Tuesday and Thursday. SiriusXM 157.
There it is.
There you go.
So, yeah.
157 on your Sirius dial.
The Grumpy Pundits. He is the one and only Rodney Marsh. All right, coming up on the other side is our fun block. BK's got Logotomy dialed up for us up next on the Non-Pod. I know that commercial break felt like a moment for the audience, but for us, it lasted really long because we got some extra stories out of Rodney Marsh.
Yes, including a couple that we may not share.
Some that will be behind a paywall when we start the new Non-Pod website. No, it was very interesting. What a lively character. And with that, let's bring BK in. Brian, I'm glad that we were able to book Rodney, and you were, given an opportunity to meet a guy that you idolized as a child.
It's awesome. It was good to meet him, and great stories. I mean, that's a guy you could hang out with. You honestly could feel yourself hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Have a Miller Lite with him.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
There you go.
All right, so we have in our fun block, you have dialed up a familiar game, and it has some AI animation that we are looking forward to watching.
Little Logotomy. What I did, I changed it up a little bit this time. It's going to be super, super, super tight. I'll give you some clues throughout it, but as it expands out, whichever one of you two can guess the logo, just chime right in.
Okay.
The first one is super, super easy, so y'all
I don't like when you say that.
It's super easy, trust me.
Okay.
Trust me, Skull got the first one.
Oh, but he's good at this.
No.
I think he's pretty good.
Okay, you ready for the first one?
Yeah.
And there we go.
The Red Wings.
Scott got it. Let's see it.
I thought it was a hot dog. Okay.
All right, so simple enough. I didn't even have to get through the clues there.
It was Joey Chestnut's esophagus.
That was fast. I was not ready for that.
Okay, you ready for this one, Cato?
I think so.
Let's see it. Boom.
Oh.
This design is the logo. The guy who designed this logo also designed a Pillsbury Doughboy.
Bengals?
And that is incorrect.
Is it a bowling
Flyers?
This logo is angled.
Oh, that is a Clemson.
Let's see it. Clemson. That logo, they put it on the helmet and tilted it that way, so it would face 1 o'clock, so every one of our fans would know what time the game started.
Oh, nice.
And you see that little notch at the bottom?
Yeah, I was looking at that.
The paw is it was actually modeled after some tiger or something like that at the museum in Chicago.
So
And it
that's
has
an
a scar. It has a scar on that paw, yeah.
How about that?
Yes.
That's Dabo Sweeney's
I
scar.
thought, it looks like the Tampa Bay area.
It does a little bit.
So the
little
guy
bit
that did
inlet.
the Pillsbury Doughboy did this.
The company, he
had
designed
paws?
So if you
The
if
guy,
you
he had a
poke the
paw?
little white doughboy in the belly, he says, "Go Tigers!"
it. All right, you ready? Next one. Boom. This one,
Jaguars.
let's see it.
does look-
The Jaguars.
That was his nose. That was the
was the
cat's
nose.
little nostril there.
Yeah, and the tongue, when they
It
designed
hasn't always been blue, has it, Brian?
originally the color, I think it has been the tealish kind of color, because they came in at the same time as the Carolina Panthers when they were expansion teams.
Yeah.
And the owner wanted to take a little shot at the Carolina Panthers, so he made that tongue kind of like the Carolina Panther color, like he was eating the Panther. Yeah.
That's
But
what the
that-
tongue you get when you eat the candy. The what's it? The
Cotton candy.
Well, that too, probably.
Yeah.
But there was always the one powdered candy that would
Dipping sticks.
dip in sticks.
There
Yeah.
you go.
That was when the color teal was invented.
That was, yeah.
In like
It was real popular.
1995, I believe that color was invented, and it was used in everything.
Before then, we called it blue.
You ready for the next one?
Yes.
Here we go.
Is that the Avalanche?
No.
Let's see.
The designer of this logo secretly inserted his initials in that part right there you're looking at.
Golly, what is
Gosh, is this
on.
Scarlet Knights? Is that no Gamecocks?
Oh,
Ooh,
yes.
Gamecocks,
Good,
Cato.
good.
Good job. Nice.
And so the designer's initials were
It's like
A.
DP or something like that. And so he kind of made the two tail feathers at the very top.
Okay, I see
the
it,
D and
yeah.
a P. Yeah. So
that.
yeah.
That's an angry rooster. Look at
Yeah.
him.
It is, isn't it? It's a cool logo.
What's Doug Peterson doing these days?
I'm
Or
not
is
sure.
Is it David
It was,
Plattsburgh?
I got his name somewhere, but not. Yeah. But it's pretty cool, and it kind of sneak his little initials in there. If I had to design a logo, that's what I would do.
He runs a cockfighting ring now. I've always admired that their mascot is like an illegal activity. Like here's a gambling bird. We put some knives on its feet, and it's gonna get you.
Yes.
Do you know the nickname of this bird? Not Cocky, not the mascot, the actual bird itself right there. They have a live bird actually on the sidelines. Live gamecock.
I don't know.
The general.
General.
Yeah, after the general in the Revolutionary War.
Is a gamecock, like, what is that?
It's a fighting bird. It's
Fighting
a rooster.
cock.
Yeah,
Okay, it's just it's a rooster.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Very violent.
See, that
rooster.
doesn't look like a rooster to me.
The head is right.
It looks
that
like
little-
he's flying down with his claws to go catch its prey, but I don't believe
But look at that.
chickens
You
can
see
really
the little
fly.
knife though they put on his foot.
talon. Yeah.
That's what they use for the illegal cockfights.
Okay.
So he's got weapons
Oh,
beyond talons.
I see that. Is that what real game cockfighting
Yes.
is all about? They put knives on their feet?
Yeah, and when I was a reporter in
never
South
heard of
Carolina, do you know how many cockfights I had to go, or cockfight busts I had to go cover?
You were in on it?
No, more
You
than
were
a
part of the
couple.
bust?
No, I wasn't in on it, but it's
Yeah.
amazing that, it's
a big thing.
It's a
Yeah.
hobby.
How many have you gambled on since?
I've never bet on a rooster.
Yeah, right.
I never.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey,
Wouldn't
old
know-
General,
wouldn't
I
know
got some
where to-
money on
would not
him.
know
He
where to-
looks good tonight. He's on a 5-fight win streak.
He just went through 6 hens like hot knife through butter.
Got some ginsus on them paws.
We probably shouldn't joke about this.
Okay.
On his
No, it's
paws.
serious.
Yeah. The scar on the Clemson Tiger. That's
Yeah,
where
it came from
Dude.
old General.
How about this one?
49ers.
Oh, no, that's...
Who said that?
No,
49ers.
Look at it.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah.
Are you seeing the previews in my shot?
No, I just
You
I've
sure?
no.
No.
Good job.
No.
You know that the 49ers won their Super Bowl exactly 49 years after they came into the league.
How about that?
And in that Super Bowl, how many points did they score?
49 points. Brian.
Exactly. How about that?
What symmetry?
That
That's
is.
You know, we used to work with someone that was convinced the NFL was fixed, and this would probably only fit into that narrative. Yeah, that's fascinating.
I think it was. How about this last one here?
I wasn't prepared
Oh.
for the black outline. That's what.
Yeah.
Rams.
That's the Rams. Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, that is.
St. Louis Blues.
No. This logo here came straight from the state flag. Same color, exactly.
Golden State Warriors.
Delaware.
No. The team was once about to fold, and they had to have an actual telethon on local TV station to raise money.
Seahawks.
Oh,
No.
Pacers.
Who's got it? Who said
Scott.
that?
I did.
Pacers, Indiana Pacers. How about that? They had to have
They
a
didn't have a telethon?
They're about to fold because when they were admitted into the NBA, they didn't get any TV money first 4 years, so they were almost broke.
Larry Bird changed that real quick.
And they said,
Yeah.
local TV station said,
Reggie Miller.
let's have a telethon
right.
for these guys.
He had a fun. Reggie Miller had a telethon. He and Detlef Shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a lackluster?
No.
No,
No?
it was,
Do
you
you like that?
always get down on your games, but this was fun. We enjoyed it. It was good.
Yes.
It was better than good.
Thank you. Appreciate
And I
it, guys.
think did we tie?
Something like that.
Time to go to a penalty shootout. All right, very good. Thank you,
Thanks,
BK.
guys.
Much thanks to our guest this week, the legend Rodney Marsh, joining us on set today. And much thanks to our crew here at Nightpod headquarters. We got Rochelle over here on the jib doing some mighty fine jib work. We got Sean doing the ones and twos here tonight. How did they give Chris with a K a night off? I understand that he's taking a little vacation
He
time.
threw out his back, I hear.
Oh, okay.
Again.
All right, so not much of a... All right, well, enjoy a Mai Tai from the couch then, will you? And as always, much thanks to BK and Chris. I'm Scott. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.
Never.
Unless your name starts with a K.